Hi, my name is Annie Abundis, and this is my toy research project on the toy brand Melissa and Doug. So, Melissa and Doug is a company that has been in the business of toy making for 30 years, and it's founded by two parents of six children. The important thing to emphasize about them is that they center open ended play, so it is imaginative, kid powered, and skill building. So, all of this comes to conclude the way that they perceive children, which is going to be important in how they design their toys as well. So, connecting Melissa and Doug's open ended play to the new sociology perspective, we see that there's a developmental model focus on how children are innovative, active contributors who learn through language, interactions, and routines. So, while resistance is possible, children in this model are constrained to the existing social structures. Overall, what we'll see is that Melissa and Doug's designs play a role in the development of children's peer cultures and how they interpret race, ethnicity, and gender. So, what I concluded after my research and sitting with the designs and advertisements is that there's an emphasis on the child audience. So, who are the toys designed and advertised to? My thesis came down to being that race, ethnicity, and gender play an implicit role in Melissa and Doug's toy branding through one, predominantly lighter skinned toy characters and models, and then having encoded social roles. So, which social roles are assigned to what populations, and then how also there's differentiated gender collections. So to start off, I want to look at the different toy patterns by race and ethnicity. Something important to note is that product placement and advertisement are shaping factors of social values, reinforcing a hidden curriculum that goes beyond our reading on gender, but also into race. So we can connect this to what is ethnically correct, which was seen in the Clark and Clark doll study. So if we look at the numbers, we see that 16 out of 18 dolls were phenotypically white. There was only one family set with a lighter complexion. And then we also see how the design products contribute to the racial features and descriptions of the toys. So we see more Americanized names, such as, see, there is Luke, Jenna, Victoria, and overall, they reinforce something from the Clark and Clark Doss study on what is ethnically correct, where it is crucial to step towards diversifying toys. However, we also have to consider that the children in the ads and the toys that are offered to them are an important and crucial part of how children make meaning of racial stereotypes. So, something important to note is that many of the children were phenotypically white in the child models, and while they do have a diversity, we also have to see what toys they're placed with. So, like the Clark and Clark doll study, different advertisements also have perceptions on how children make meaning. And there's an overall normalcy around code switching and cultural assimilation when in the Melissa and Doug toy brand, many of the Black and African American presenting children were playing with lighter skinned or phenotypically white toys. And this is where we see that race is a matter of power and representation. So it's also important to consider the advertisements. Now, if we go into social roles, we want to break it up by race and ethnicity first, and then we'll talk about gender and sexuality. So, while the brand has children of diverse racial and ethnic backgrounds, as mentioned, the toys and play sets modeled by the children show racialized patterns. So, if we see in pretend play, which is one of the categories in the brand, we see that occupations that are in the pretend play, so having firefighters, waitresses, scientists, and engineers, for example, there is a divide in the blue versus white collar jobs. We see that social roles in culinary, STEM, medicine are mostly advertised with a majority white representation. On the other hand, when we look at the Hispanic or Latinx, Black and African American child model, most of them in the advertisements were shown for blue collar jobs. For example, there were only two what would appear to be Latinx children. A disclaimer that I don't have concrete evidence on the race and ethnicity of the children, but this is by phenotypical representation. There is one boy shown in a cowboy costume and one Latina girl shown in a server costume, both considered either a blue collar job or outside of the white collar job category, which includes more of the STEM related jobs as well. A group that is nearly absent, however, are Asian children and specifically South Asian children. Overall, the number of toys and models of color is also lower than the census number for populations of color, while there is an overrepresentation of phenotypically white characters and dolls, as well as child models. What this shows is that toy consumption patterns are a reflection of the context of social inequalities. Moving on, we also want to look at social roles by gender and sexuality. From this same pretend play category, we can see occupational dress up by gender. An interesting pattern was the jobs associated with boys, such as firefighter, pilot, and scientist, so either STEM or physical related, or physical labor, had either a boy and girl or only a boy. Um, Rarely, if ever, were girls shown in these dress up toy ads without a boy present. So we see that there is like an effort. However, to diversify, we also want to show that women can show up in these spaces on their own without a male counterpart. However, the dress up toys for mermaids, princesses, and waitresses, things that have been considered in our society more female related or feminine or assigned to women and girls, had more options in pink, once again, color gender coded, and only showed girls in the ads. Overall collections like Dolls and Dollhouses, To Mine to Love, which is a baby doll collection, showed a majority of the toys also in pink and had girls in the ads, more predominantly with only out of the 18 pictures or toys, only two ads had boys playing with the baby dolls, one being a pink one, however, the other being yellow, blue, green. And we want to remember that beige does not equal gender neutral or the colorful. So it's also how we see the exclusion of boys from a color gendering of pink. So this also connects to how we see the pink and blue divide. And then also assigning gender roles contributes to the socialization of gender norms, expectations, and taboos, which contributes to the boundary work and how children are able to negotiate those expectations. Lastly, the gender roles extend to family structures and sexuality, where there's only one family wooden doll set with a lighter complexion, going back to the racial um, category. But we see how this one set follows a heteronormative model with heterosexual and two parent families as the norm. In this case, the only representation. While 46% of children live with two married heterosexual parents, the majority does not when looking at statistics. So these patterns overall are not reflective of family change over time and how we are becoming more socially egalitarian and diverse. The last section to cover is gender differentiation. So Melissa and Doug is known for timeless classics, which was seen by also Sweet's presentation on the pink and blue divide, how we want more colorful and like toys on a spectrum of gender identities. However, we still see the pink and blue divide winning over in cases, even when a toy brand does not assign toys by girls versus boy. So we see this in the advertisement of color differentiated collections. So despite having the same functions, toy collections designed with pink tones, butterflies, flowers, and descriptions of cute and pretty show girl presenting children in the advertisements rather than having both genders or a gender spectrum in their marketing. These marketing strategies, such as with the blue and pink aisles, are an additional form of reinforcing gender norms and expectations. Building on this, we can also see that the overrepresentation of girls in parenting and domestic pretend play categories is a form of benevolent sexism. So we see how while there are positive attributes such as being nurturing and not being necessarily negative, they do contribute to the border work of gender. While girls are seen in more diverse occupations and roles, the absence of boys shows fewer opportunities for negotiation or gender exploration, such as the absence of boys from dress up toys like mermaids, princesses. Overall, what we can take away is one, that an implicit race and gender cues are reinforced stereotypes and impact children's self perception. So, how do children make meaning of racial stereotypes around them and how they reinforce through the things that they socialize with? So, Melissa and Doug emphasizes children as agents in their toy making. So, we have to see what they are learning in this process. The second takeaway is that toy marketing has an equal or greater impact on border work beyond color dichotomies. So the way that different toys are advertised to different people can go beyond a pink and blue divide, also showing the different social roles, descriptions through wording and imaging. So thank you. This is my presentation. Here is my works cited, and I hope you enjoy.